Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, it's a pleasure to meet you and thank you very much for doing this interview.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Your Eminence, let me begin by asking you about growing up in the Philippines.
Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, the Archbishop of Manila, was nominated by Pope Francis to serve as the new prefect of the congregation. It is now possible to hear echoes in Vatican City thanks to the whispers. The path that Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle took from being a lowly Filipino priest to a potential papal successor has caused doubts to be raised regarding his genuine effect over the subsequent development of the Catholic Church. In addition to being the first Asian to achieve the highest cardinal position, he is able to expertly strike a balance between traditional Catholic beliefs and progressive viewpoints. Is this media-savvy cardinal attempting to position himself by a deliberate maneuver to become the next pope? What are the reactions of the general public to his appointment as pope? Please come along with us as we investigate how Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle admits what we all believe to be going on inside the power chambers of the Vatican. In the midst of the towering walls that surround Vatican City, Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle makes his way through marble halls where the sound of centuries of history reverberates with each passage. Nevertheless, the Filipino cardinal contributes something fresh to these old halls, namely an Asian perspective that is influencing the way in which the Catholic Church deals with contemporary concerns today. Tagle has maintained a collection of Vatican rolls ever since he arrived in 2019. Just like other people collect stamps, his ever-expanding influence is further strengthened by each new post he holds. In addition to being a member of various Vatican departments, he is also the manager of the huge financial resources of the Church and the leader of its missionary activities all over the world. Tagle, on the other hand, gives transparency to these prominent positions, in contrast to his predecessors who frequently took their posts behind closed doors. Use his position to manage the finances of the Church. As a member of the administration of the Holy See's patrimony, he is responsible for managing monies that would cause investment bankers to experience a sense of disorientation. He did, however, advocate for more transparent financial reporting and more stringent oversight. It was during a critical meeting that revolutionized the banking processes of the Vatican that he made the declaration that the faithful had a right to know how their contributions contribute to the mission of God. He demonstrated his ability to handle difficult problems on a global scale during his leadership of Caritas Internationalis, which lasted from 2015 until 2022. Tagle was responsible for coordinating relief operations that transcended religious and political lines in the aftermath of earthquakes that wrecked Haiti and wars that broke out in Syria. The French government pointed out that he was responsible for transforming Caritas from a conventional charity into a contemporary humanitarian organization. He did this by adopting professional administration while maintaining the organization's spiritual core. In February of 2024, they bestowed upon him the Legion of Honor, which is the greatest honor that can be bestowed in France. At the celebration that took place at Villa Bonaparte, Tagle did not speak about his accomplishments, but rather about the volunteers who made it possible for Catholic charitable work to take place. He said this while touching the medal with the unique humility that he possesses. "This honor belongs to countless hands that serve the poor," he remarked. In the following months, Tagle served as a special envoy to the National Eucharistic Congress. He addressed a crowd of 50,000 American Catholics in Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, which is the same stadium that hosts National Football League games. The crowd erupted in enthusiasm as he made the connection between ancient church teachings and contemporary life issues. As a result of his speech, even those who were not Catholics in attendance found themselves moved. It is possible that his most significant accomplishment is the fact that he was able to break the European grip on the leadership of the Vatican. Tagle broke down barriers that had been preventing Asian church leaders from gaining access to certain opportunities for decades. He was the first Filipino to achieve the highest cardinal position. When he talks in Vatican meetings, he gives perspectives from the communities that will shape the future of the Church, which are the Catholic populations that are growing at the greatest rate, which are Asian and African communities. As a result of his profound awareness of both Eastern and Western cultures, he is a natural individual who can build bridges. Within the context of interfaith conversations, Muslim leaders have expressed their admiration for his tolerant approach to religious differences. The Jewish rabbis are grateful for his attempts to enhance the bond between the Catholics and the Jews. Even organizations that are not religious seek his opinion on issues that affect the entire world, such as poverty and climate change. Currently, Tagle's name is frequently brought up as a possible candidate for the position of Pope by Vatican insiders and foreign media. Previously, it would have seemed to be inconceivable for an Asian cardinal to entertain such a thought. In contrast, Tagle's combination of spiritual depth, administrative skill, and real friendliness has altered the boundaries of what many people perceive to be possible. However, many who deal closely with him claim that he has not changed as a result of his power. During the breaks between high-level meetings, Behatil stops to talk to the gardeners at the Vatican, recalling their names and learning about their families. His door to his office is always open to visitors. His agenda includes time for regular Catholics, and he continues to make it abundantly obvious that he is focused on serving people rather than power. Tagle has accomplished something that is quite uncommon in the complex realm of tradition and change that is Vatican City. He has earned the respect of traditionalists while also pressing for reforms that are necessary. According to the observation of a seasoned Vatican correspondent, he is demonstrating that revolution is not necessary for change. There are moments when all that is required is a smile and an open heart. Cardinal Tagle's rise through the ranks of the Vatican has garnered notice from all around the world. Yet what truly distinguishes him is the manner in which he exercises his exceptional power. How is it that this humble Filipino priest is able to shake up decades of strict Catholic ritual while also winning hearts on both sides of the theological divide? How about we find out? A cardinal who travels the bus, carries his own baggage, and shares meals with street children. In the bustling streets of Manila, stories spread like wildfire about a cardinal who travels the bus, carries his own baggage, and makes meals available to children living on the streets. According to Maria Santos, a street seller, he was sitting right next to me on the jeepney where we were riding. When he smiled and inquired about my family, I finally realized that it was him. At first, I could not believe it. This is not a PR stunt. Rather, it is routine activities that Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle engages in. Tagle has carved out a unique route in church leadership that breaks with centuries of precedent while remaining committed to essential Catholic beliefs. He is known as the Asian Francis because of his parallels to the present Pope, who is also known as Francis. Take his approach to contentious matters, for example. Tagle speaks in an unusually calm tone about matters that will typically ignite heated disputes, despite the fact that he is a staunch supporter of Catholic teachings that prohibit abortion and the use of artificial contraception. During a conference that was crowded with attendees, he once stated that the harsh words that we had used in the past had created walls rather than bridges. His tone becomes noticeably more kind when he is talking about LGBTQ+ Catholics and persons who have been divorced. Over the course of a historic address that had his audience in tears, he posed a challenge to the conventional harsh tone that the Church has taken. Defining human dignity is the first step in addressing the issue of sin. It is necessary to extend our hands before we point our fingers. Additionally, he places a significant priority on the conservation of the environment. Tagle does not stop at praying while typhoons are raging in the Philippines. Rather, he rolls up his sleeves and gets to work. He has initiated programs that combine practical action with spiritual teaching, such as engaging parishes in the planting of trees, the reduction of plastic use, and the establishment of communal gardens. Cardinal, who is well versed in the media, is familiar with the various means of current communication. The live sessions he hosts on Facebook attract millions of people, and the content he uploads to his YouTube channel simplifies difficult church doctrines into easily digestible and understandable messages. Tagle, on the other hand, answers directly to messages from disturbed followers, frequently late into the night. This is in contrast to the majority of social media personalities. It is something that he frequently tells his fellow church leaders that poverty is not a theoretical concept that can be discussed. He maintained an open-door policy for those who were less fortunate in his offices in Manila and later in Vatican City. There are stories told by security guards of his skipping formal dinners in order to sit with homeless families that came to the location in search of assistance. During the height of the urban poverty crisis in Manila, Tagle converted vacant church properties into temporary shelters for those in need. Through the establishment of soup kitchens that provided dignity in addition to meals, he created environments in which individuals could dine at tables with appropriate plates and silverware, rather than waiting in lines with items that were disposable. However, his openness to admit when the Church has failed to meet expectations is possibly the most revolutionary act he has ever done. In the midst of a contentious discussion on the wealth of the Church, Tagle stunned traditionalists by publicly advocating for increased financial transparency. He made it clear that we cannot preach about poverty while still living in luxury. his approach to leadership is causing some Orthodox Catholics who favor the Church's more conventional practices to raise their eyebrows. On the other hand, Tagle is undeterred by this critique. He explains that transformation is necessary for the Church, not in terms of the truth itself, but rather in terms of how we communicate that message to the rest of the world. Tagle has managed to keep his signature smile and laid-back demeanor throughout everything that has happened. He maintains the same attentive presence regardless of whether he is conversing about theology with academics or eating a simple dinner with janitors. In a society where people speak loudly, Cardinal Tagle demonstrates that true power rests in the ability to be gentle and strong, as his former secretary points out. An exceptional position in contemporary Catholicism has been gained by him as a result of his ability to combine traditional values and progressive approaches while maintaining a real humility. Tagle is not altering the beliefs that the Church holds. Rather, he is altering the manner in which the Church communicates those beliefs to the outside world, as was pointed out by a Vatican observer. The parish priest becomes a powerful figure in the Vatican. It was in the year 1982 when Father Luis Antonio Tagle made his initial entrance into the bright courtyard of San Agustin Parish, which is located in Mendez Núñez, Cavite. Having recently been ordained, the young priest was carrying nothing but a Bible that was in poor condition and a strong passion to serve the people in his parish. As the parishioners watched, they had no idea that they were witnessing the initial steps of a man who would shake up the old power structure of the Catholic Church. In a short amount of time, his sharp mind and loving spirit attracted attention. In a matter of months, he was able to successfully balance his duties as a parish priest with his duty as spiritual director at the Diocesan Seminary of Imos, where he mentored future priests. It was an exceptionally rapid rise that caused eyebrows to be raised and expectations to be raised when he became the rector of the seminary in 1983, when he was only 26 years old. This rising talent was brought to the attention of the Vatican in 1997, when Pope John Paul II selected him to serve on the International Theological Commission. Tagle worked directly under Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger, who would later become Pope Benedict XVI at that same location. He did not acquire respect by shouting the loudest during heated theological disputes. Rather, he earned respect by listening deeply to the other side. The month of October 2001 was a key turning point. As the Bishop of Amos, Tagle deviated from the established norms. He did not possess a car, he did not have any luxuries, and he frequently welcomed individuals who were homeless to enjoy his modest meals. Local vendors recount tales of discovering him in the wee hours of the morning, sweeping the steps of the cathedral by himself and refusing to get preferential treatment. However, what actually distinguished him from others was the way he dealt with challenging circumstances. During the terrible floods that occurred in Cavite in 2009, Tagle converted churches into emergency shelters and organized rescue efforts, working alongside volunteers who were submerged in water up to their knees. In comparison to any preaching, his deeds spoke far louder. The Philippines Catholic Church was going through some of its most difficult times when the appointment to the position of Archbishop of Manila was made in 2011. Tagle was placed in charge of a diocese that was struggling with issues such as poverty, political tension, and debates regarding the role of the Church in contemporary society. How did he react? Using social media to engage younger Catholics who were slipping away from the faith, opening conversation with critics, and advocating for the impoverished are among efforts that have been made. There is still discussion among Vatican insiders about the day when Tagle received his cardinal's red hat, which was November 24, 2012. As the second youngest member of this exclusive club, he stood out among the cardinals who were becoming older. He was 55 years old. However, his age was not the subject of the news. The tears that he shed during the ceremony demonstrated a level of vulnerability that is rarely seen in those in positions of authority within the Church. A move that had never been done before was made by Pope Francis in 2019, when he invited Tagle to come to Vatican City to serve as the prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples. Because of this position, Asians were able to exercise unprecedented levels of influence, including the ability to manage the missionary activities of the Church and to nominate bishops across Asia and Africa. Tagle's career reached its pinnacle in the year 2020 when he was promoted to the position of Cardinal Bishop, which is the highest rank in the College of Cardinals. Through his accomplishments, he broke centuries of European domination and became the first Asian to achieve this level. In the present day, his impact extends from the streets of Manila to the corridors of the Vatican, where he contributes to the formation of the future of a church that serves 1.3 billion Catholics all over the world. His fundamental approach, which consists of listening before speaking, serving before leading, and leaving his door open to anyone who is in need, has not been altered by this exponential growth phenomenon. One official from the Vatican made the observation that in Tagle, we see something that is uncommon: power without pride and authority without immediacy. He stood in front of the gathering and spoke about the Eucharist with such profound feelings that many people were moved to tears. It was a moment that was both peaceful and powerful, a very personal sharing that connected something sacred to the issues that his audience faced on a daily basis. It was not just a speech, but rather a very personal share. His ability to transform profound religious concepts into messages that were personal and compassionate caused his comments to remain in people's minds for a considerable amount of time after they had been heard. His influence extended well beyond the confines of any one particular spiritual institution. He did this by bringing theological conversations into people's homes through a television program called The Word Exposed, which was broadcast all over the world and reached people from all over the world. He took difficult concepts from the theological realm and simplified them into lessons that were not only simple to comprehend, but also applicable to everyday life. His pleasant and welcoming appearance on film gave the impression that he was speaking directly to each individual, not only imparting teachings about faith, but also providing support and encouragement. The lesson he conveyed was not limited to merely spiritual concepts. Over time, he developed into a powerful campaigner for social justice. On multiple occasions, he voiced his disapproval of the unfair treatment of individuals who were marginalized and mistreated during his lifetime. He went beyond merely urging people to take action in his talks. They were profound contemplations on the meaning of human dignity and the obligation that society has to safeguard those who are most susceptible to harm. He chose each and every word he spoke with great care and delivered them with such conviction that it was difficult for anyone to be unmoved by what he had to say. His achievements were recognized by people from all across the world. It is clear that his effort was recognized, as numerous honorary degrees were bestowed upon him by prestigious educational institutions all around the world. In recognition of his unwavering dedication to advancing education, interfaith dialogue, and the larger concepts of justice and peace, these prizes were presented to him as a token of appreciation. Each degree served as a reminder of the impact that he had, which was so far-reaching that it touched not only religious communities, but also secular societies. The year 2020 was a significant turning point in his life when he became infected with COVID-19. His recovery became a beacon of hope for many people who were fighting the virus or had loved ones who were struggling with it. The disease was a difficult task, but his recovery became a beacon of hope. Through his candid disclosure of his struggle and subsequent recovery, he offered solace and a sense of solidarity, giving a human face to the pandemic that had claimed the lives of so many others. The fact that he was able to survive was not just a victory for him personally, it also became a symbol of perseverance and the power of faith in trying circumstances. And further significant aspect of his legacy was his dedication to fostering conversation amongst people of different religious beliefs. He exerted a great deal of effort to establish linkages between the many religious communities during a period of time when religious misconceptions and divisions were widespread. Because of his approach, which was founded on respect and a genuine desire to comprehend the perspectives of others, he garnered the respect of religious leaders from a variety of faiths. The results of his efforts were that barriers were broken down and talks that centered on common ideals rather than differences were promoted. His uncommon mix of profound knowledge and concern for the well-being of others was the trait that truly set him apart from others. It was just as easy for him to talk about intricate religious concepts as it was for him to give straightforward, sincere guidance to someone who was struggling. Through the use of this one-of-a-kind combination, his teachings became accessible to both academics and regular people, thereby establishing a warm and inviting environment within his ministry, which was founded on a life of selfless service to others. When one considers Cardinal Tagle in his current state, the guy who has the ability to drive audiences to tears, develop bridges between different faiths, and demand respect from important people all around the world, an intriguing question regarding his beginnings is raised. Is this something that he has always dreamed of doing? Or did he discover a calling to serve him along the way? Nobody saw it coming, and it included everything from stethoscope dreams to religious vestments. However, the youthful Luis Antonio Tagle himself is the least of all. Rather than putting on the white coat of a physician, the young man who had once fantasized about wearing it would eventually put on the red robes of a cardinal and become one of the most prominent leaders in the Catholic Church. Chito, as his family affectionately referred to him, was born on a bright summer day in Manila on June 21, 1957. He grew up in a home where faith and culture interwoven like the strands of a finely woven tapestry. Chito was born on one of the warmest summer days in Manila. His mother, Milagros, who is of Chinese and Filipino descent, and his father, Manuel, who is proud of his Tagalog heritage, came together to create a distinctive blend of traditions that influenced their eldest child's perspective on the world. However, Chito's heritage was more complex than it appeared at first glance. He carried the blood of the Principalia, the Spanish colonial elite that once governed Philippine society before the uprisings that occurred in 1896, through his father's side of the family. On the other hand, the narrative written by his grandfather Florencio presented a contrasting picture of affluence. After Chito's grandmother was injured by a bomb during World War II, the family was forced to start over and rebuild their lives. In order to make ends meet, Chito's grandmother became the proprietor of a little local cafe. While little Tagle was strolling through the corridors of St. Andrew's School in Paranaque, he saw a Shoite missionary who ignited an unexpected spark within his deepest being. Through the patient counsel of priest friends, his heart was gradually led towards a different sort of therapy, one that mended spirits rather than bodies. This occurred in the intervening time between his scientific lessons and his hopes of attending medical school. After making the decision to enroll in the Jesuit San Jose Seminary, a significant turning moment occurred. Tagle was able to allow his great mind to blossom while attending the elite Ateneo de Manila University. In the same way that other people may devour popular novels, he devoured intellectual writings and theological treatises with the same enthusiasm. His teachers were quick to recognize his extraordinary capabilities, particularly when he earned his pre-divinity degree with astonishing insights that were much beyond his years. The Catholic University of America, on the other hand, was the institution where Tagle was able to properly extend his intellectual wings. Between the years 1987 and 1991, he immersed himself in the intricacies of holy theology and went on to compose a dissertation that left even his most experienced advisors in awe. Joseph Kamonchak, Tagle's professor, would later make the observation that Tagle had the potential to become the most accomplished theologian in the Philippines, or maybe in all of Asia. This was a powerful compliment that hinted at the incredible journey that lay ahead. Languages came out of his mouth as easily as breathing: Tagalog and English for day-to-day living, Italian for church business, and a sufficient amount of Spanish, French, Korean, and Latin to negotiate ancient texts and contemporary diplomatic circles. His comprehension of the world and the people who lived in it was greatly enhanced by the acquisition of each new language. However, despite the fact that Tagle was gaining more and more recognition in the academic community, he never lost touch with his roots or his nickname, Chito. Not through the use of prescriptions and procedures, but rather through the use of words that bridge boundaries between cultures, between tradition and development, and between heaven and earth. The same youngster who had found himself playing in the streets of Manila while dreaming of attending medical school had discovered a different approach to achieve healing. His early years provided a picture of a guy who would later be known as the Asian Francis. He was clever yet approachable, conventional yet innovative, aristocratic by blood but humble by choice. His early years revealed some of these characteristics, a future that would take him from the bustling streets of Manila to the majestic halls of Vatican City, where his childhood fantasies of healing would find expression in ways that he could never have guessed, replaced the medical profession that he had previously envisioned for himself. This future was something that he had never imagined would happen. We appreciate you watching. If you found this video to be enjoyable, please click the like button, leave thoughtful comments, and do not forget to subscribe for more information that you might find interesting. By clicking on the video that is currently displayed on your screen, you can view yet another video that is of interest to you.